This is William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. In this lesson, we're studying Aesop's fable of the man and his two wives. As always, let's read through the fable carefully together and then discuss the moral lesson taught in this fable and how this fable can help us to live well. This is Aesop's fable of the man and his two wives. In a country where men could have more than one wife, a certain man, whose head was becoming white, had two, one a little older than himself and one much younger. The young wife, being of a gay and lively turn, did not want people to think that she had an old man for a husband, and so used to pull out as many of his white hairs as she could. The old wife, on the other hand, did not wish to seem older than her husband, and so used to pull out the black hairs. And this went on until between them both they made the poor man quite bald. This is Aesop's fable of the man and his two wives. Now, as we begin this fable, consider the first line: in a country where men could have more than one wife. We can see from this that in most countries, men cannot have more than one wife. In America, for example, it's not lawful for a man to have more than one wife, and there are many reasons for this. There are moral reasons, there are financial reasons, there are legal reasons, there are many reasons why a man cannot and should not have more than one wife. And so when we see that the laws of countries forbid something, usually it's a bad idea. And so we can see that for a man to have two wives is understood by all men to be a bad idea. Sure, there are some places, some religious groups maybe, who allow for a man to have more than one wife, but this is generally disapproved of by human law. It's not a good idea. But in this place that Aesop tells us about, there was a certain man who had two wives. He took one wife who was older than him and another wife who was younger than him. Maybe he thought that having an older wife and a younger wife would be a benefit. And these women both chose to marry this same man. One chose to marry a man older than herself, and the other a man younger than herself, or at least a man who appeared younger than herself. But this relationship didn't work out very well. The young wife, she was young and active. She didn't like the idea of walking around with a man with a head full of white hairs, and so she used to pull those white hairs out of his head to make him appear younger with a head full of brown hair. But his older wife, as she saw the effect of this young wife's choice of the man's hair color, didn't like looking older than her husband, and so she pulled out his younger-looking hairs. And these two wives went back and forth, trying to make their husband look the way that they would like him to look, and in the end, they ended up with a husband with no hair. And this man was forced by his two wives to live as a bald man. This is an interesting fable. And we have to ask, what is Aesop's purpose for this fable? What is the moral lesson Aesop wishes to teach us through this moral? And one helpful way we can think about the fables to find the morals is to put ourselves in the position of the different characters. So let's put ourselves in the position of this man. Now, while this man lived in a country where it was allowed to have two wives, I don't believe that he had to have two wives. He chose to have two wives. And like I said, maybe he thought having two wives, one older, one younger, he would gain some benefit from it. And when he made this decision, he chose to act contrary to nature and contrary to what we know to be the will of God, our Creator. So this man thought that he had a good idea. He would do better than nature and take two wives, one older and one younger. And what does this man learn? This man learns that it's impossible to please two different relationships, two different people, especially when they're different. The young woman has her own interests at that time in her life, and the older woman has her own interests and concerns at that time in her life. Taking a younger woman and an older woman makes it impossible for this man to be pleasing to both of them, and so he ends up having all of his hair pulled out. So he has neither his older white hair nor his younger colored hair. And he's forced to live as a bald man, even though nature gave to him a full head of hair. So this man learns that while he may think of the benefits of taking two wives, what he didn't consider was the cost of having two wives. He didn't consider that it would be impossible to please both of them. And so both of them, critical of his appearance, made him look worse, pulling out all of his hair. And so the moral lesson can be, it's not possible to serve different masters or different people. It's not possible to make everyone happy. If you go to a website like Amazon.com, you'll find that the reviews are very interesting. People who buy the product or who know about the product will post reviews, sharing their thoughts about each product. And for some products, you'll find 5-star reviews, people who are very happy with the product, but you'll also find 1-star reviews, people complaining about how terrible the product is. In fact, it's the worst product in the whole world. And we can wonder, how can there be 5-star reviews where people say that this is the best product in the world, and then there can also be 1-star reviews where people say this is the worst product in the world? And the answer is that it's simply impossible to please everyone. What we do is not for everyone. We have to choose in our lives who we should seek to please, because it's impossible to please everyone. Now, some people will say, well, I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't want to please anyone. I just want to do my own will. But that's not wise. That can be very selfish. It's not a good idea to please no one. We should obviously seek to please God, our Creator, because He's going to judge us and we're accountable to what He thinks about us. And we should also seek to please good and wise people. We should be happy when a good and wise man says, well done, or good job to us. We should desire to please wise and good people. But we should not seek to please foolish people or young people. We should not seek to please people who are not experienced or wise or good. We should actually be happy when foolish people or evil people disapprove of us. That's a good thing. Jesus said, "Blessed are those, or blessed are you, when men speak evil things falsely about you because of me." Blessed are you, Jesus says, when men say bad things about you falsely. Jesus says, blessed are you to have people saying bad things about you falsely. He also says, blessed are you when you're persecuted, because the holy prophets who served God were always persecuted. And we should consider this mistreatment by the world as a blessing. It's good to be despised by ungodly, foolish men. It's impossible to please good men and bad men. It's impossible to please wise men and foolish men. And we might wonder whether Aesop intended for the older woman to be a symbol of a wise person and the younger woman to be a symbol of a foolish person, because we often associate prudence with old age and imprudence with youth. So we cannot please both. We cannot please opposites. We have to choose whom we're going to please, and we should seek to please those who are wise and good, our elders, those who are experienced, who give us good counsel. We should seek to please them. We should honor their counsel, make good decisions, and seek to please them. So we can consider this the moral lesson of this fable from the perspective of this man who chose to have 2 wives. It is impossible to please everyone, therefore we should choose whom we're going to seek to please. And we should choose to please the good and the wise, the experienced, and so on. Now, how can this fable help us in our own lives? Well, in our lives we face great pressure. We face pressures from people all around us to do different things because our behavior affects their lives. What we do affects other people, and they want us to make decisions that please them. Some people are concerned with our happiness. They want us to make good decisions so that we can be happy. Others want us to make decisions so that they can be happy. And we have to be careful. We have to be careful. A good example of this can be found in your own studies. Your parents and all wise people in your life will tell you again and again, study hard, seek wisdom, learn the Catholic faith, use your youth to study, learn as much as you can while you're young. That's the advice of all of the old people, all of the experienced people in your life. But what do the young people tell you? The young people say, come on, come play with us, come do this, come look at this. They encourage you not to study. They encourage you to play. They encourage you to waste time doing silly things, things that are fun but are not helpful for your future life. You're not going to be a child for long. Childhood is just a short period of our lives, and then most of our lives we spend as adults. If you'd like to be a wise child, you'll make good use of your childhood to help prepare for the years of your adult life. And you're going to see some people encouraging you to study and work, to listen to your parents, to go to church, to say your prayers, to obey God. They're going to tell you to do things that are for your good. And other people are going to be telling you to do things for their good. and you have to be wise and learn that you cannot please both groups of people, but you should choose to please the wise people. So we can find many ways that this fable helps us in our lives, but I think this is very clear. It's impossible to please opposite people. It's impossible to please both the good and the bad, the young and the old, the wise and the foolish. We need to choose whom we wish to please and realize that it's only possible to please one. And this is one of the reasons why men are only allowed to have one wife. It's not possible for a man to please multiple wives, and it leads to all kinds of problems in family life. You can see this in the Bible in different cases where men did have more than one wife, and they were jealous of each other and fighting and caused all kinds of trouble. It's impossible for a man to please two wives. It's hard for a man to please even one wife. How much more two wives? And so this is the lesson that we learn in this fable of the man and his two wives.